and to confiscate in particular any electronic gear in that person's possession, which is important then that we keep this very close as an operational matter. Once we have that electronic gear, we will probably learn a lot from the forensics about where it's coming from, the nature of the beast, and who is the originator.
John, can't you just mug him and take his stuff?
That is an option.
Well, is it, Madam Attorney General, can we do this?
We have authorities in place to do what's called renditions, and we have done them in the past. There would be some constraints with regard to where you could take him and what you could do with him when you've got him, but we do have authorities to do renditions, and I'm sure that John's people are up to it.
And what about,
and also, although they aren't particularly good, we do have diplomatic relations with Sudan. We have a charge d'affaires and an embassy there. And Sudan, for a number of years, has been trying to find ways to improve relations with us, and it might be an opportunity for them to actually cooperate with us. I'm not sure.
We've got to stop because we have a bigger problem right now, or a new problem. I've been informed about a major new development. We're getting preliminary reports that large portions of the power grid in the eastern part of the United States are beginning to shut down.
Coming up, dealing with another attack.
At 4 a.m., there was an improvised explosive device that was detonated at a key electric transmission substation.
Welcome back to We Were Warned Cyber Shockwave. You've been watching a cyber war game simulation. The scenario is fictional, but the facts behind the war room exercise are very real. A panel of former administration and national security officials are assembled here in a White House Situation Room to simulate a real-time response to a crippling cyber attack. In the scenario, most of the nation's smartphones have now stopped working. The nation's internet system has slowed to a crawl, virtually shutting down the nation's financial and transportation systems. A power outage is now spreading across the eastern United States. The news is bad, and it's getting worse.
Welcome back to breaking news coverage on GNN, where in addition to the attacks on the nation's telecommunications infrastructure that we have been covering all day, we are also now receiving alarming reports of significant and growing power outages in major metropolitan areas in the eastern half of the United States. Affected areas apparently include cities on the East Coast, such as Miami, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, Buffalo, and Boston. To get the latest information, we want to return now to our White House correspondent, Angela Michaels. Angela, what can you tell us about what seems to be another major crisis that's developing at this very moment?
I can tell you this, Simon. The mood here has dramatically shifted in the last 20 minutes or so as reports of what appears to be a massive power failure have reached the White House. Utility officials are apparently reporting to the White House that the current issue does have a cyber component. In addition, earlier today, we received reports of explosions at electric power facilities in both Tennessee and Mississippi, which may or may not be related to the power outages.
Now, do we know how many people are affected by the power outage so far?
Well, information here is very fluid, but we are hearing numbers of at least 10 million users, households and businesses that are without power. To put those figures in perspective, there are about 110 million households in the United States. So we are already up to a substantial number, and the figure is just continuing to climb.
Angela Michaels at the White House, thank you. We are being told that emergency plans are being implemented in all of the affected cities. This is Simon Marks, GNN.
As you know, we've been talking about the telecommunications problem that we've been experiencing all of the morning, but now we've got this additional problem having to do with the power grid. This disruption of the flow of electricity, it comes on top of the fact that we now have a large number of people in this country who are out of communication. We've got to discuss our options and recommendations now in light of this latest development in the power grid. And there are, again, 3 questions the President asked me to raise to you when I spoke to him during this break that we had. First, again, how bad is this going to get? How much worse is the power grid condition going to be, and what are the consequences going to be? What do we do to restore the electricity to the people who've been affected as quickly as possible? Second, again, who did it? Is this connected to the prior attack? Is it a separate attack? What do we do to respond? And what do we do to make sure it doesn't get any worse? And finally, what do we say to the American public? And how does he reassure the public that we are in control of the situation, that we are going to be able to restore their communications and their power, and that we're not going to face this kind of situation again in the future?
Well, the nature of this attack indicates that it cannot be an attack on individual utilities. It's got to be, we think, an attack on a particular focal point in the system. It seems to me the President needs to, first of all, counsel calmness, and secondly, let people be aware that they need to cut down on their individual electric consumption. Because what causes a blackout or brownout is that the demand is greater than the generation. And when you have an attack on a particular focal point, as we think we have now, we can't be sure, then what we need to do is reduce that demand. All the non-essential demand that we have in the country, we need to reduce in order to bring the generators back online.
And Attorney General, now I understand there's some law enforcement elements as well here.
Yeah, I just got this message from the FBI director who's back in the command center. He said that at 4 a.m. there was an improvised explosive device that was detonated at a key electric transmission substation for the pipeline corridor, which has hindered restoration efforts, as I understand it, and simultaneously an explosion near Clarksville, Tennessee, which disrupted all electrical service to both the city and to the adjacent Fort Campbell. It's not clear if these events are related to the ongoing power outages, but I have to say I would assume so for the moment.
Let me ask you, Mr. Secretary, what is the impact of these two physical explosions on the ability to restore our power? Is that going to be a big problem for us?
It will accentuate the problem clearly, but understand that these systems are interconnected in broad areas, the whole eastern interconnection. So an individual substation being taken out will not bring down the whole system. It will stress the system, which is an additional reason that we must reduce the demand for power as quickly as we can.
Now, do you have either Department of Energy people or do the utilities have people who can get in there and fix the results of this explosion quickly?
Well, they do. Understand there are 3,000 utilities in this country, each somewhat independent. They've been aware of this problem for 2 or 3 years and have been working at flank speed to put in systems that will insulate the system for this kind of attack. But the sophistication of the requirements, the cost of the requirements, are such that it will still be perhaps 2015 until we're fully insulated. We think in a matter of days that power can be restored. Now, a huge amount of damage can be done in a matter of days. As we've heard, hospitals and elderly people, people stuck in elevators, not to mention the freezers where all the food is spoiled, are real problems for people.
All right, again, from Treasury standpoint, I know the financial markets and the business community has been badly hit by the communications piece. What is this going to do?
Well, there's no question that this has a disastrous impact on the economy. You have the financial markets shut down at this point, ordinary transactions dramatically impeded. So this is a massive blow to the solar plexus of the economy.
When we come back, calling in the National Guard.
I'm getting messages from governors. They don't want the National Guard federalized. Too bad.